Hey everybody, Mike Iaconelli back out in the shop with a new video for you today. And in today's shop video, we're going to be talking about my top 4 baits for the month of April. If you're an angler, April is the month, right? It's spring, it's getting warmer, the water's warming, the fish are getting more active. It is a glory month if you're an angler. But April can mean different things in different parts of the country. We always use that Mason-Dixon line, like Virginia, as a dividing line on what's going on. And that's a good measure. So, if you're watching and you live north of Virginia, if you're in the Northeast, if you're in the Midwest, you're above that line. April is a month where the fish are pre-spawn. They're leaving the winter pattern. They've already kind of started to move up, and they're filtering in to places where they're eventually going to spawn, in the next 4 to 8 weeks, okay? So April in the north is pre-spawn. Dude, that's a great time to catch them. They're eating, they're feeding up before the spawn, and you can catch some real big, giant monsters. Now, if you live in the south, if you live in the Carolinas, all the way to Louisiana, Texas, Florida, it's a little different. And April is more of that spawning phase all the way to post-spawn if you're in the very bottom of the country. So now in April, still a great month, but these fish are shallow. These fish are bedding. These fish are rooting around looking for a bedding spot. They're guarding fry, they're post-spawn, right? These are fish that are shallow and they're still feeding and they're accessible, which is what I love. So the month of April, no matter where you live, is a great month. We're going to do 2 for the north, 2 for the south, and let's start it out with my number 1 bait. All right, guys, let's start up north, and my number 1 bait for the month of April, especially if you live up in the north, is lipless vibration, aka rattle trap. And this bait is so good in the month of April when fish are in that pre-spawn mode because it delivers a lot of reaction qualities to this bait, okay? So first of all is the profile. Guys, by the way, this is a Berkeley Jack. This is a new lipless from Berkeley. If you look at it, it's a relatively thin style bait, but when I turn it to the side, look at that profile. Guys, this is a shad, this is an alewife, this is a bait fish, it's a bluegill, it's a crappie. Look at the profile. It's got a forage style profile, but it also delivers a lot of other things. Here's the obvious one, guys. Listen to it. It's got sound to it, right? These are rattling style baits, so it's drawing fish in based on sound. It's got a tremendous amount of vibration. When you reel this thing in, you're actually going to feel your rod tip vibrating. It's going to be da, 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 da. So that thin nature is just causing that thing to vibrate side to side. So you've got vibration as an attraction. Last but not least, you also have flash. And I've got a chrome blue in my hand right here, and just not even in the water, not even with natural sunlight, just me turning it side to side, you can see that flash that it delivers, right? So it's got all 3 of those properties delivering a reaction strike. But here's the key. Why I love this in April in the north is I can cover a tremendous amount of water. Remember what I said, guys. These are fish that are heading toward where they're eventually going to spawn. And those fish tend to be transient. They're swimming, right? They're leaving where they wintered. They're heading to those spawning areas, and they're moving. So because of that, I can fish this fast. I can make them react. I love that bait. Before I go on to number 2, without a doubt, here's my 2 favorite colors. I want one that looks like a bait fish or a shad, chrome blue, chrome black, Tennessee shad. I want a shad colored bait, and I always want red. There's something about that red, orange, red with a little pink in it, that red crawl pattern in the spring. I think there's a lot of crawfish hatching, and this catches really big ones in the month of April. All right, guys, for bait number 2 for the month of April, especially up north, this one's going to surprise you a little bit. Bait number 2 is a big swim bait, okay? Remember, the month of April, these fish are in that pre-spawn mode, and they are definitely looking to feed up before the spawn. For the last about 3 years, I've really found that this is one of my best April baits, especially for big fish. And it makes sense when you think about it, right? You know, these fish are coming out of the winter mode. They're heading to where they're going to spawn. And at this time of the year, there's a lot of big forage in the water, okay? You know, after the spawn, there's a lot of little stuff, but nothing has spawned yet, right? It's pre-spawn. So you've got adult forage, shad, gizzards, herring, hitch, roach, golden shiner, and even trout, because the month of April coincides with trout stocking in a lot of these states. So even trout becomes a primary forage for those bass. I think that that fish wants to feed and wants to get a big meal and really prepare itself for the rigors of spawning. So a big swim bait. By the way, when I mean big, 5-6 inches all the way to 10, but for sure I would say a 6, a 7, and an 8-inch swim bait is that range that I like to be in up north, in the northern part of the country. 2 of my favorites, guys, for sure is the Nessie. I love the Nessie 7 and the Nessie 9, and the coal shad in the 6 and 8. Here's the difference, and I want to make sure I explain this real quick. The coal shad is going to have an inline movement. So when you reel this big swim bait, it's going to stay straight and steady. And the movement on this bait is going to be tail and a little bit of body roll, but it stays straight, right? So when you're mimicking forage that swims straight, this is the perfect kind of bait. So herring, rainbow trout, you know, forage species that swim straight, this is the one I choose. This is also the one I choose when I'm fishing isolated targets. If I'm throwing down the side of a dock or at a stump or an isolated piece of cover, I like this because I can put it right next to the cover and it stays there, okay? But the Nessie, that Nessie style bait, there's the big 9. It's got that single joint. This has an S motion. This one has that big wide S turning motion. And I like this better when you're imitating forage that swims wide. Gizzard shad is a great example of that, guys. Gizzard shad have that big wide movement. So I like that when I'm imitating gizzard shad. I also prefer the Nessie, the single joint bait, when I'm trying to cover water. So if there's a non-specific target, I'm on the edge of a flat where they're eventually going to spawn and I'm just blind casting, I like this because I can get more coverage with the bait, okay? Bait number 2 in the month of April, especially up north, big swim bait. All right, let's go to the south, and I'm going to give you 2 more for the month of April. And coming in at number 3, guys, this shouldn't be a surprise at all, is a soft stick bait. You're going to hear this a lot in, you know, the months from March all the way to June because it's such a versatile bait. But in April, in the Carolinas, in Georgia, in Tennessee, in Alabama, all the way to Florida, this is a bait that will catch fish in all phases of the spawn. I really like the traditional 5-inch, also the 6-inch. By the way, this is the Berkley Power Bait General. It's got that scent mixed in. And primarily, I'm going to fish it 2 different styles, and I'm going to show you both real quick. The first one is Texas style. And, you know, when I'm fishing heavier cover or if I'm fishing isolated targets with grass around them, I love this style. And it's just using a 4-aught or a 5-aught hook, depending on the size. And I'm just Texas rigging it. I could add a bullet weight. I could fish it weightless. It's a great way to fish it, and you're not going to get snagged. The other way that I like to fish the soft stick bait in the month of April is just with a wacky hook, okay? Traditional wacky hook. I hook it right in the middle. You can use an O-ring to help save baits. And on this one, I'm definitely going to get a little different fall. I'm going to get more of that inchworming effect. When the fish are guarding fry, when I'm skipping it up under docks, this is a great technique. The nice thing about this soft stick bait in the month of April down south is fish could be on the beds. Fish could be guarding fry. Fish could be totally done and getting ready to move out of the shallows. In any of those cases, a soft stick bait is going to catch them. So number 3, without a doubt, soft stick bait. And last but not least, guys, my number 4 top bait for the month of April down south is a topwater. But guys, not any topwater, a topwater popper. And that popper style in the month of April, when you're down south, has become a key player for me. And I think there's a couple reasons to it. The first one I want to mention is, like the soft stick bait, a popper will catch fish that are on beds. A popper will catch fish for fish that are guarding fry. And a popper will catch fish when the bass are totally done spawning and they change to eating bluegills, right? In that pecking order, you have bass spawn first, and then when the bass are done spawning, guess what spawns? Bluegill. And I love casting this around bluegill clusters, honeycombs, where those panfish are spawning. I love to cast that around there. So a popper, I definitely prefer shad colors or that bluegill pattern. This is a Berkeley bullet pop, and that's a ghost gill, which has a little bit of translucency to it, but it looks like a bluegill. So shad or bluegill colors. And the key to this bait in the month of April down south is fish it slower, okay? I'm giving it a pop. I'm letting it settle. I'm letting that mylar and feathers in the tail expand. I'm giving it a pop. I'm letting it sit. It's great because unlike a buzzbait or a toad or even a walking bait, I can leave this in place for a really long time. Just let it sit. And if you think about a fish that's spawning or guarding fry or post-spawn, they want something slower. So the popper fits that bill. In the month of April down south, it's tremendous. Guys, I hope you like this one. We're talking about my top 4 baits for the month of April. A couple for the northern guys, a couple for the southern guys. Try these baits during the month of April, and you're going to have some unbelievable, amazing bass fishing action. Guys, if you like these shop videos, stop right now, subscribe to the channel. When you do that, we're going to send you notification, content dropping every single week. If you're already subscribed, tell your buddies, tell your fishing friends about the channel. It's Mike Iaconelli Fishing on YouTube. We're here to hopefully teach you a couple things and help you catch more bass. Hope you enjoyed that one. Top 4 baits for the month of April. Bye. Hey everybody, Mike Iaconelli out in the shop. Thanks for watching. And if you like this video, you have to check out that one, and I hope you like them.